The ghosts of 2017, of 2022, of 69 all out from 26 days ago, all have been laid to rest by South Africa, who go through to a first ODI World Cup final, women's or men's, with a sensational victory against England in Guwahati. Firdos Munda, Valkyrie Baines will dissect that game for us. And, well, I'm sure you know by now, I will go to Firdos and let her tell the world how it is Laura Wolfart's world and Marizanne Kapp's world, and we're all just blessed to be living in it.
Oh, well, thank you, Yash. I feel very vindicated because when I said I thought South Africa would reach the final, I didn't think anybody believed me. You know what? I didn't believe myself. I was just trying to say the most ridiculous thing possible, but it turned out to not be so ridiculous. Laura Wolfart, this is a match-defining innings. This is a career-defining innings. It reminds me of Harmanpreet in 2017. It was so exciting. Even Cat Stevens turned up to have a look. And the way she did things, where she paced herself, I thought she was going too slowly. She was 100 off 115 balls, and I was like, what is going on? Hit the ball, hit the ball, hit the ball. And then the next 69 runs came off 28 balls. And what was amazing about it was how she adjusted, cleared the front leg, and got the ball onto the leg side. This is an offside dominant player. This is the best cover driver in the world. And here she is whacking it over mid wicket, four sixes. She had not scored a single six in her 100, and I think only nine sixes in her ODI career before today. So this is an innings for the ages. It's the one that we will all remember her for, whatever happens in the final. And I think even if they'd lost the match, it really would have been one of those innings that people are going to talk about for such a long time. The best part? She even smiled at some point. This is the Ice Queen, Laura Wolfart, who doesn't show a lot of emotion. And when the 100 came up, it was like a bit of a. But then, right towards the end, when I think she realized what she'd done, she brought out the full smile. And, she battered England out of the match, which I think just speaks volumes to how excellent she was.
Yeah, it is the first 100 by a captain in a Women's World Cup knockout game, and it set South Africa on the way to their highest ever total in the competition, 319. Well, if we look at England's story, and now it ends up being England's campaign, it is effectively a period of 67 balls that has ended the campaign, because at 40 overs, 202 for 5, you'd have thought the game is still kind of in the balance. Then 117 runs in the last 10 for South Africa. And then the first seven balls of the chase, England are 1 for 3, and that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the story in numbers, and that's exactly how it unfolded. But the story in terms of humans, you had two of South Africa's most senior players both playing the match of their lives on the one day. And when you're up against that, something has to fire for England, and it just didn't. I mean, Sophie Ecclestone in the first innings by South Africa, we thought, oh, here we go. She's, got four wickets here and sort of, might do something. But then Laura Wolfart just absolutely took England apart. It was, a beautifully paced innings. As you say, I think she bided her time through Ecclestone's last over. Once that was finished, she went for it. And we had, I think, Lindsay Smith, who's been so great throughout the tournament for England. She was struggling a little bit with her lengths. Nat Sciver-Brunt was quite expensive, struggling a bit with her lengths as well. And, when you've got a player seeing it like Laura Wolfart did, you've really got to be on it. And they just weren't. Similarly, you can't lose your first three batters inside the first two overs, two of them inside the first two balls, and then leave it all to do for the rest, despite the rest, including Nat Sciver-Brunt. A lot was going to have to, be carried on her shoulders. And I mean, we know about England's over-reliance on her. She did her best, a century stand with Alice Capsey, who was in amongst the runs. But, against Marizanne Kapp, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, what Val says actually takes me to what felt like a very interesting passage and I'm sure there'll be volumes written on Laura Wolfart's knock, which is one for the ages, but just the smarts involved, because she really played out Sophie Ecclestone, 19 of 27 against her, but 94 of 61 against the other spinners, and that tells you a story in itself. But while South Africa's captain did all the heavy lifting in the first innings, what about the Kapitan, Firdos, with that fifer, which is the best figures for South Africa at the Women's World Cup?
Yeah, unbelievable from Marizanne Kapp. So look, when we spoke to her pre-tournament, one of the things Marizanne Kapp said to me was, your career is not complete without a World Cup. And I think that she had to make that happen for herself. So she takes a lot of responsibility. You know, I spoke about Laura being the ice queen. Marizanne Kapp, who's played over 150 one-day internationals for South Africa and 5 World Cups, still cries when the national anthem plays. You know, it still brings that out in her. She's all fire. She's every emotion that you will see on the field. And the way she celebrated, you know, that first ball that bowled Amy Jones came back in, found the back pad gap. It was such a beautiful delivery. I thought she was going to pop a vein. That's the kind of celebration that we saw. So 5 for 20 is also her career best. But also, she only bowled 7 overs. She had a bit of cramp, but that is a boss move. I've got 5 for 20. You guys are done. I'm out of here. Bye. See you later. And I think that that was also a really interesting thing to see. She's been exceptional through the tournament, although she hasn't had the reward. So before this game, you know, she'd done a little bit with the bat and a little bit with the ball, but really we were talking about other players. I also think her innings was very important because it changed the tempo. It was 42 of 33, I think. And she was batting at that time when Laura Wolfart was being ultra cautious. South Africa didn't want to get bowled out for, never mind 69, even 169, even 269. They were very, very cautious. And Marizanne Kapp just brought a little bit of an injection of pace that got Laura Wolfart going and that set them up for a little bit later on. So from an all-round game perspective, this was her match. And I know that her wife, Dane van Niekerk, the former captain, who's on her way to the final, we sometimes exchange notes through the games. She was in pieces. She was crying. She's, you know, she, like a lot of us, very emotional. And just to see Marizanne Kapp fulfilling this dream, this is what she really wants. But no touching of the money. There is a final to go. And yeah, we all know what's happened to South Africa in many, many finals. So I guess we've got to wait and see.
Well, they've bucked one trend already. They had lost enough women's ODI World Cup semi-finals. They have now won 3 World Cup semis in a row. That's 2 T20 World Cups and now this one. Well, I don't want to close the lid on England without a word of appreciation on Sophie Ecclestone, who was a doubtful starter for this game, who was possibly playing through pain. But her forfeit, if it weren't for a worldie of an innings, that could well have been a match-defining spell.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw a vision of her warming up, and she wasn't even moving that left arm. She was jogging and, you know, moving her right arm. Her left arm was not moving at all. And I thought, there's no way she's playing here. Then she comes out and does that. So I don't know how much, you know, a little bit of foxing maybe in the warm up might have been going on. Nat Sciver-Brunt did say at the toss, you know, she will probably be playing through a little bit of pain. There was no evidence of it. So either, you know, she was, you know, acting a little bit, or she's just an absolute machine and played through it. And I guess, you know, semi-final, a place in the final on the line, you know, a player of her caliber is going to, aren't they? They're just going to push through no matter what. And she did.
Yes, falls in vain eventually, and it means that England can't make it to a 3rd successive Women's ODI World Cup final, and for the 3rd time at South Africa's expense. Firdaus has given us the headline quite well. Fire and ice have combined to send South Africa through to a 1st ODI World Cup final. They now await whether it's Australia or India, but they will be at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai on Sunday.